Welcome back to the Red Path. Today, Dara and I are going to discuss the pretty major changes that have happened with the big FAQ and errata that dropped this week. Dara, welcome back. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, man. Good. Ready to dive into this spicy meatball of an FAQ.
Yes, it's a pretty big one. There's some big stuff in here. There's quite a lot. I think between this chapter approved and obviously some codex or the admech codex and stuff, there's been a lot of stuff for us to just generally think about. But this, I won't say it came out of nowhere because we should have been expecting it, but I think once we knew chapter approved was coming, I wasn't thinking about getting an FAQ as well.
No, for sure, dude. I was the same. I saw the chapter approved and I was like, okay, this is cool. We got some interesting changes. But then, bang, midweek, just get this really, really crazy FAQ, which fundamentally alters an awful lot of the game state that we're currently playing. And I think the two of them combined, it's almost like an overflow of information and changes, which has to be taken on board, has to be considered for us as World Leader players, for a variety of other armies, just us as well for considering how we even fight against certain armies and stuff. It's a crazy and very interesting time, I think.
Yeah, like I said, it's a lot to process. And speaking of that, in our video that we didn't just record 5 minutes ago, we neglected to mention we talked about Knights and Lord of Wars and stuff like that. We didn't clarify the kind of the CP change that dropped with chapter approved.
Yeah.
Just talk us briefly through that, because it's everyone knows it, but let's explain it.
Yeah, it's a really important one,
Yeah.
So we already talked about the secondary changes for the Lord of War choices and stuff, and how that's an important step on this series of steps towards making them relevant. But we have this really, really significant change now with the super heavy auxiliary detachment. So essentially, your super heavy auxiliary still costs 3 CP, but as a command benefit, you get 2 of those CP back if your warlord, which is in another detachment, is from the same faction as the Lord of War. So what that means basically is that if your Lord of War is subfaction Heretic Astartes Legion, such as World Leaders, you can bring so like if the Lord of War is that, and you have a detachment where it's like a World Leaders detachment, battalion or whatever, your Warlord is in that Kaitan is going to cost you 1 CP now instead of 3. But you can't do that with a Knight because it excludes the faction keywords like Chaos, Imperium, Tyranids, blah blah blah. So basically what it means is that we can essentially bring any of the Codex or like Forge Worlds, Lord of Wars for 1 CP, which is huge. Now, it's so huge.
One thing, I literally just considered this. Khorne. Now, I know Knights don't get a mark, but for demons. For those demons, because I know, so obviously we take Mark of Chaos, and then demons take like demonic mark or something. The bracketed keyword is different, but what you replace it with is Khorne. Like for the ITC, you can be faction Khorne or faction Zinch or whatever.
Is it not a Mark of Khorne though? Is what it gets replaced by. It's like Mark of Khorne, and then Demonic Allegiance Khorne.
It might be, yeah.
So I think they are separate at the end of the day. But even if you were to consider the Demon Super Heavies, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure they have to be your warlords if you're taking them as well. I think like Angarath, I think he has to be the warlord.
Right, okay.
I'm not positive about
possible.
that, but I'm reasonably sure. Yeah. But yeah, it's super interesting for the likes of like the Kaitan, the Brass Scorpion, the Lord of Skulls. Like, so they no longer cost you 3 CP; they cost you 1. They don't hemorrhage you victory points for bringing them. It's almost as if there's no reason not to consider them.
Yeah.
It's a pretty bold statement, but like, it's like we said in the other video, there's a discussion that needs to be had about Lords of War.
Yeah.
Are they coming back in the game? I'm not sure. I genuinely don't know, Jamie.
I think
I think so too.
Someone's going to bring something to a GT or a major, and it's going to top 4, top 5, and then more people will bring them. That is my guess. Someone's going to play really well with it in a meta that is not at the moment prepared for
exactly.
They're prepared for Dark Eldar, potentially Admech, Death Guard, the Necrons, anything that is currently, got a codex. They're not prepared for a Charybdis to come down and turn away. But we'll touch on that.
We'll get to that. But I mean, dude, like, to be honest, I can see play in things like I can see genuine competitive play with the Khitan.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm less certain about the Scorpion, and it's annoying because he has everything going for him except for the actual size of the model, which I've looked through the WTC boards, and he won't be able to move around on a bunch of those boards, and you can't.
The Lord of Skulls,
you just
because the
Lord of Skulls
is
less.
It's not. Imagine, which is surprising to me, but.
The problem is the Scorpion isn't necessarily big, it's just unwieldy. It's like, imagine a defiler on, like, drugs, in terms of, like, how difficult it is to move around. Yeah. But, like, the thing about the Khitan, it has a Knight's base.
Yeah.
And if a tournament has allowed for Knights to move around, which, as a TO, you should be doing, you will be able to move your Khitan around. Yep. And the Khitan at 440 points is a very, very attractive Lord of War, in my opinion. Yeah. Who can be buffed with a ridiculous amount of things from the Codex. And
you see, I know I said we're going to talk about it later, but just briefly talking on the base thing, the clarification to there's two things which affected our drop pods, the Charybdis and the Dreadclaw. The first one we'll talk about after. But the minor one is that now you measure to and from the base as well as the hull.
Whichever is closest.
Which made them, rules as written, actually unplayable in previously because you couldn't actually disembark from them. Because on a base, which the models are provided with, you were greater than 5 inches away, except for one very minor, one very small spot under one of the claws on the Charybdis. Because I measured it. Like, the only way to use it was to deploy next to terrain so they could get out onto a ruin, second level of ruin. But now, because they have fly, they have a night base or a fly base, I can't remember which one. So whilst you may have to position away from ruins and stuff, you can drop and you can move over things. It's the little things like that, the little small fixes which are piling up on these units. Like with the Khitan, and I think with the Charybdis to a lesser extent because there's other issues there. But all right, let's dive into the into the kind of the FAQ proper.
Let's do it.
I think the first thing we need to touch on as World Eaters, as Chaos players, is the strikes first, strikes normally, or whatever it's called, and strikes last. Personally, I love this. I think on the first point, it clarifies what it should have always been and leaves very little room for argument from people, although we know people are going to try. I think it gently buffs us. Not in a massive way, but it removes some feels bads. It removes some really awkward matchups. Death Guard, like the Drakari have ways, the Temper Mortis on a Space Marine, on the Judicar. All these little things which, we've talked about several times. Like, what do? We throw in one unit of Berserkers at a time? Do we throw in 5 units? For me, I really like this. What did you think about this whole clarification on fight order?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, I won't lie to you, I was surprised at how it was interpreted because that's not how we had been playing it here where I am. Right. Especially with the Tormentors and stuff, we were not treating charging as a fights first ability, even though it is. It's like, because you charge, it is fights first. But the way we interpreted it is because at no point did it ever say basically this allows you to fight first. It was like charging units just happen to fight first. Okay, it wasn't a specific ability that allowed you to always fight first. Is essentially what I'm saying. So like stuff like the Tormentors and stuff, when they would go off, like all my units would just be thrown to the bottom of the fight phase, and it's just like, oh, okay. But now you have this really interesting interaction where they cancel out, and it's interesting how it goes. Like, the player's turn it is for units that fight first.
Yep.
Player's turn is not for units that fight normally, and the player whose turn it is for units that fight last.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool stuff going on there. As just a healthy thing for the game, it's fantastic because it had gotten to the point where I was lost with it. You know, I wasn't even sure how to. Generally, I
had a different rule. Every version of fights last or fight when no other eligible unit or it was why they don't use universal rules. And, you know, other people have talked about this. It's beyond me. They should, but they don't. Yeah. This squeezes it all just a little bit closer. And we can understand it now. And we have a codified, it's on the screen for people watching, a codified FAQ and a designer's commentary giving examples. We have examples of abilities, including Temple Mortis, importantly, because that is one of the abilities... if I'm remembering my Space Marines right, that's the one that means you fight when all other eligible units, after all other eligible units. So it's not, it wasn't a fights last, it was you are not even in the fight phase right now. It was like a really bad one.
The only one I think that is still quite a boogie bro to us is the Deck Guard one. So the one that counts as you have not charged. So it doesn't make you fight last, it means you don't count as having charged. So that still really hurts the World Eaters because we lose all our charging bonuses.
But you still fight normally, right?
Exactly, you fight normally, so they would get to strike you first still, as how fights normally goes. It's more that you lose the bonuses. But look, overall, this is really good. The clarification, like, man, it means that like the part of me was dreading going to an event and just having to have this... arguments,
because
I guess,
because you will play Death Guard, you will play Drakari, you will play Space Marines at some point, and they will have these things.
Now all you have to do is just say, here's the FAQ, and if you don't agree with it, I am happy to call a TO. And the TO will rule in your favor, realistically. But look, it's a really, really healthy change for not just the World Leaders, but the game in general, as we're seeing more and more of these fight first, fight last abilities introduced across the board. A good understanding of how the fight phase breaks down into these three distinct steps is very, very important, and I am extremely pleased that we have this clarity.
One final point on this, and again, this is early days. I could be wrong, but I've run through it a few times. Battle Lust, which, you know, I've
your personal favorite.
Yeah, I haven't had much luck out of it, but if I'm understanding right, because it grants you fight first, and it gives you a 6-inch heroic intervention. Now, heroic intervention is a little bit worse in 9th, because once you heroically intervene, you make yourself eligible to be fought by any opponent's unit, even if they didn't charge. So it got a debuff there. However, because it gives you fight first as well, you're now essentially a charging unit on your opponent's turn. So as long as you don't heroically intervene into a unit that charged, do you see what I'm saying? Because Battle Lust...
man, I'm trying to work it out.
So Battle Lust...
I think I see where you're going.
Does heroically first. So
does heroic interventions give you fight first?
Heroic interventions don't give you fight first. Heroic intervention is just a movement in the opponent's charge, at the end of the opponent's charge phase from your character. However, Battle Lust enhances your warlord's HI to 6 and gives you fights first. So when you intervene, previously,
you fight before they hit you.
They can just whack you because you're waiting until your turn, or they get the first charging unit, right? Now, and whilst this was the same before, it's now better, because now you heroically intervene, you can fight first, and you can also interrupt with another unit. Just
I see. It's a niche situation, but it's like you said, it's a buff. You know, it doesn't matter how niche it is. It's an improvement. You know, and that's how I always look at these.
10-20 games, it'll come up once.
It'll come up. Yep.
And
yeah,
if
for sure.
If it kills, you know, a squad of witches or something for you.
I'm totally with you there. That's an interesting one I hadn't thought of. I like it though. It's cool.
It's a little thing, but speaking of little things, there's two minor changes which are important, but I don't want to dwell on. Tell us about the change to psychic disciplines.
Cool, yeah. So, yeah, basically, psychic powers are legion locked now.
Yep.
So you have to be from the same legion to cast psychic powers on each other. So that matters if you bring like your word bearers for your warp time, for your prescience, diabolic strength, or whatever. Look, if you ran those kind of lists, that's really unfortunate for you, and I am sorry. I used to run those lists a lot, and I would be pretty mad if that happened to me now. I don't run those lists anymore, so it doesn't really affect me, but you know, folks like Mike out there who really loves running his warp time guys, I feel for you, bro. Like, that does suck, but look, realistically, all of the new armies that have come out that have psychic abilities are locked in such a way. I think it's only fair, because this just means that so yeah, basically the reason why they've done this is so you can't warp time Mortarion across the board. That is the only reason why they've done this. It's not like they were like, oh, some people are warp timing berserkers all over the place, we need to crack down on this. No, it's, I would much rather play in a game where you can't warp time your berserkers, but you also can't warp time Mortarion.
Right. Yep, 100%.
That's my stance on it.
It should have been this way, and it is this way, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you were playing that tactic, you kind of knew yourself it was only a matter of time before it ran out. And yeah, look, that's just where it is. I think it's fine.
Yep. The other small change before we get on to our kind of biggest topic here is the reversal, clarification, whatever, on 9-inch charges. If you deep strike, you have a 9-inch charge. It doesn't matter where the enemy model wings are, bases, whatever. You are 9 inches away outside of, for instance, violent urgency. If you have a rule which enhances your charge, that's fine. You are adding 1 to the roll, but you are still 9 inches away. So there's no more trigonometry. There's no more getting a laser pointer and a ruler and everything else. We are 9-inch charges. It's how it should have been. It was, you know, I don't know why it was a thing, why they just didn't do this in the last FAQ and say, no, if you're 9 inches away, if you're deep striking, you're 9 inches away.
Yeah, I think previously, when it was just to do with terrain, when it was like guys on top of the terrain, I don't think they minded it so much. It's just when a certain side of the community decided the best way to counter Jakari would be to do the Pythagoras theorem on their raiders. I think GW were kind of like, really, guys, and most of the community was also probably like,
I am.
Yeah,
it's like you got to take what you can get, but it's just nice.
Yeah.
I prefer
at the same time,
I prefer a cement rule.
Yeah,
because
I like it too.
You know, I'm happier now because now I don't have to worry about my opponent can do this, so I need to also know how to do it as well, because I'm not going to play at a disadvantage. So it's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a discussion of someone who was saying they could actually get it very easily by if they inverted all the bases in their army, because you know the base is not straight down, it's like this. So basically they were saying if they invert all the bases, because the top of the base would hang over but the bottom wouldn't, that everything could be that little bit closer. That's when the discussion went too far for me, and I was like, wow, if I rock up to a tournament and everyone has their bases flipped upside down, I'm like, dude, cool, I'm gonna go have some beers. You know. So look, I'm glad they stepped in and stopped that before it happened.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get on to our big topic, quite frankly. This one's pretty big, I think, for World Eaters players. And we've had some kind of follow-up conversations on it. So the rule the I think is very important. Maybe not the biggest change meta-wise, maybe not the biggest change for World Eaters, but I think an integral one and an important one is the ability now for the Charybdis Assault Claw and the Dread Claw. The drop pod and the super drop pod. Not only do they deep strike, or they can deep strike turn 1 now, you can actually disembark. This, with everything else that's going on, I think there's a lot of small things here, and I think they're going to add up. And give me your thoughts first, man.
It's crazy, man. It hurts me because Drill Gang is so close to my heart. And I'm not, to all my drill gang buddies out there, I'm staying true. I'm not going away from drill gang. Don't worry. But I can't remember who said it. But so you know the meme of like to the moon, where it's like with the stocks and stuff. So someone was saying from the moon for the Dreadclaw. You know, like it's coming down from there. And I'm so there as well. Like this is coming from the moon. Yeah. It's so good. Like it really bugs me that it took this long to make this change. And not only that, there was an FAQ for the compendium since then, and it was not changed. Man, that made me pretty mad, but it's fixed and it's good. It's really good. We have finally got turn 1 drop pods, and the thing about it is, a lot of people are wondering, why is this so good? You know, why is this so important for World Eaters and for Chaos Armies? Like, you know, because we had a latter half of 8th edition and all of 9th edition so far where Space Marines have drop pods that can do this. There are so many important reasons why this is much better for Chaos. Number 1, the units that you are delivering into the enemy's lines. So you're talking like Noise Marines, you're talking Berserkers, you're talking Chosen, Havocs. All of these units are fantastic when they get up close and do the business. The Space Marines don't really have an equivalent that need that delivery system. No. They have like their Vanguard veterans, Outriders, Bikers, whatever. They can get to you really fast anyway. We don't have a way of getting the Berserkers across the board fast, but now we do. Regardless of that, regardless of whatever unit you're putting inside the drop pod, the reason why the Space Marine drop pod is so much worse than the Dreadclaw and the Charybdis is you can tag...
Hold on, mate, my daughter's here.
No worries, dude.
Sorry. Sorry. She's gonna spend the night at her grandparents.
Adorable. But, getting back to it. So, the Space Marine drop pod. And I've done this to someone and they hated me for it, but it's such a good play. You can tag the drop pod with one guy in your charge phase. You can charge into it, tag it with one Berserker, not kill the drop pod, surround the drop pod with your guys. You can do this with multiple units. None of those units can then be shot because the drop pod cannot move. Yeah. Then you kill the drop pod on your enemy's turn and fire them across the board, and happy days. Like, that is and will always be the biggest problem in the Space Marine drop pod. Yep. The Charybdis, if you charge it, it will kill you. It will kill the crap out of you because it is mean in close combat. It can charge you.
Everything.
It can charge you. It can fly. It has every possible way of getting out of combat. You cannot tag these guys down no matter what, because they will just fly away and melt at you as they fly over you and cause you mortal wounds. And then they will charge something else and do a load of damage. Basically, that is the biggest deal, right? Because you cannot use the Charybdis or the Dreadclaw as a means of defense for your own army.
It's all
it's huge. That alone is why it's going to be so good, you know, because no one's going to be ready for that, you know. And not only that, like, you can deliver your Berserkers. Like, I'm not going to do it, but if you want to run 3 of those and drop all your Berserkers into the enemy lines in turn 1, I mean, it's a balls to the wall play, and I respect you for it, but it's Khorne. But it's so Khorne. You're relying on going first, which is a 50-50 chance. Yeah.
You're relying on a lot of 9-inch
and then you're relying on a lot of 9 or 8-inch charges. So realistically, your plan is going to work statistically about a quarter, if not less. Less than a quarter of the time. So look, when it works, it's going to be fun. You're going to pace your opponent in turn 1. They're going to auto concede, and I guess, you know, you can walk away from the table flexing or something. I don't know, but the other 75% of the time, it's not going to.
Your competitive plays are built on 51% at the minimum plays. You're really looking at things where you're stacking the odds 70% plus.
I don't go for any play that isn't 60% or less when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Because an even 60%, you know,
it's still risky.
Yeah, that's why I'm not.
That's a 3-up.
Yeah, that's why I'm not running Red Butchers anymore. You know, it's just
same here.
Yeah, but look, regardless of that, it's such a cool change because, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to put in your Dreadclaw, what to put in your Charybdis. You can put whatever you want in it, and it's probably going to be pretty good. Yeah. But I guess, do we want to talk about what particularly we've kind of come up with together as what we think is a really interesting play?
I think we do. I do want to just quickly.
Go for it, man.
The one minor thing, I don't have my Imperial Armor book handy, but the Charybdis also has that 1 CP tax, if I'm remembering right.
It does, yeah.
So it's still 2 CP to bring it as a Lord of War.
But it's not 4.
But it's not 4. So yeah, I just wanted to.
And the Dreadclaw doesn't have the tax, which is really interesting.
And it's fast attack. It's not.
So that's the one. Yeah,
but
that's the one bad part.
But so yeah, a few weeks ago we made a video talking about basically the 2 worst units we think exist in the Chaos Codex. We chose fittingly, we chose Chosen and the Master of Execution. So when this FAQ dropped, just Wednesday or Tuesday, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what day it is today at the moment. But when this dropped, we were having a chat. I think you were a couple beers deep as well, weren't you?
Oh man, okay. Now is a good time to mention I drunkenly bought a Dreadclaw that night. I literally was like, oh, I don't know. Like I was looking at it, I was like, we were talking about it, and I was like, oh, this is funny or whatever. And I was like, oh, look, I'll go on the Forgel website. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. And it was there, and I was like, okay, let's go. So yeah, there's a Dreadclaw on its way to me.
Oh boy. But yeah,
so much regret.
We were having an interesting conversation. You were at the end of your day having a couple beers. I was at the start of mine, about 1.5 coffees deep. I wasn't quite awake.
The opposite ends of the spectrum.
it was completely. I don't know. And somehow between your couple of beers, my couple of coffees, I think we met perfect sobriety.
It clicked. Yeah, it just.
It was And Chosen. Chosen might be good. Chosen might be good.
Yep.
In a Dreadclaw, I think Charybdis needs a lot more thought. I'm putting that on the back burner. I want it to work, but it's on the back burner.
The Charybdis, I think, is like your sort of like, how do I put this? You're going all in with Charybdis.
Yes.
If you're bringing that thing, and it's got like what, like is it 20 or 30 capacity or something?
It's 20 capacity, but it can take jump packs, obliterate, whatever you wanted. But
which the Dreadclaw can as well, but obviously they take up a lot more space. So like if you're going for the Charybdis, cool. I think my boy Krieger out there, he loves this Charybdis, so yeah, go for it, dude. But the Dreadclaw is beautiful because you can commit something to it that if it goes wrong, it's not going to cost you the game. But yeah, we went back and forth so much on what you put in the Dreadclaw. Like, is it Berserkers? Is it Havocs? Is it a Dreadnought of some kind? And like, these are all, viable plays. But what we settled on, and it's a really interesting one. Jamie, I think it was you who came up with it. So, you know what? You send us in.
So yeah, because Chosen have been a unit I've just wanted them to work. Like I've built a few squads, but obviously they just don't. However, okay, so this is as part of your detachment. Okay, this is just my stock, right? So this is 371 points. So less than a quarter of your army is devoted to one play, but it's a play that's got some play. So obviously you've got your Dreadclaw at 115. It's taken a fast attack slot, so that's more of an issue than the points. I think the points are spot on, quite frankly.
Oh yeah, totally.
It does the job. You then take your Warlord in there as well. I've just got a stock Chaos Lord. You could make it a Terminator, you could make it a Jump Lord if you wanted, but I'm just throwing in, you could use Exalted Champion. You're giving them...
Dude, I just had a huge brain moment, but we'll keep going.
Right, keep going. So you give them Violent Urgency. That's the critical thing here, Violent Urgency. And then you're taking a squad of Chosen, and this is the one I've got here, if I'm looking at it right, is 176 points, but you're taking no, wrong button. So I'm going for Plasma. Now I know you've differed on this, but I've been talking around with some other people. Damien, Black Legion. Me and him was chatting because he actually dropped the bomb on me on the day of the FAQ. I woke up and I had a message, and it's just
nice.
Oh my god, dude, what have you seen this? And I'm like,
yeah.
oh shit. But so
phone against the wall. Just
so I literally got up, showered, and made a video for the okay, so we're running the champion with a combi plasma and a chain axe, and we're running 5 chosen with combi plasmas and well, you can't have a combi plasma and a plasma gun, I can tell you that for starters.
No,
so I just saved 10 points.
Hey.
So you take 4 with the combi plasma and chain axe, and then you can have a 5th one with a heavy or special, and they take a regular plasma gun with a chain axe. So you also give them the icon of Wrath here. So for 361 points, I apologise because I had a cheating plasma gun in there. Drop pod or Dreadclaw comes in turn 1, 9 inches from the enemy unit, right? Yes, if they see it, they're going to scream, hopefully, if they've got the ability to do so. Your chosen and your Lord jump out. You now, number 1, have 6 units with rapid fire plasma, and you're re-rolling ones. So that's good. That's good against anything, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, of course, if your enemy has got units like dreadnoughts or something which are reducing damage to 1, you're probably not overcharging. But if they don't have a stratagem, their unit doesn't reduce damage, and you know they're Marines or Marine equivalents or Terminators, and you want to pop one, or not Terminators, but you know if it's a 2-wound unit, you've got 6 times 2. You've got 12 overcharged plasma shots there, re-rolling 1.
Yeah. I mean that's gonna pop light vehicles, you know.
Yeah. It's mini melter when it's overcharged, and it's good. You know, it's slower rapid fire bolt profile with just choose through armor. So and you can also fire the bolt profiles if you're facing gaunts or something. I don't know. You've got options.
Yep.
And the reason chosen is the unit we settled on is because the one thing they've got going for them is their weapon availability. Berserkers are all in melee. Havocs are all in range. Chaos Marines are kind of like basically your DACA. You can take a special or a chainsaw bolt pistol, but they're jack of all trades, master of none, which is exactly what I said about the Chosen. But now there's a place. Because you give them a chain axe, they become strength 5. They've got -1. They've got a re-rollable 8-inch charge. They've already fired off a volley of plasma. You can now have not a better than shit charge. You know, it's a re-rollable 8-inch charge with them who are going to do some work because they get an additional attack. Plus, they're going to be marked Khorne, so you can put on the extra AP. You can do all the Death to the False Emperor buffs. You can make them fight again. You've got options. You've got the Dreadclaw, which is a beast in combat and will eat a vehicle or at least rip and tear. And your Lord, if you give them a 5-point weapon upgrade, Power Fist or whatever, your Lord can go in as well. Why not? Like, there's no Slay the Warlord.
And the thing is as well, you drop them in such a place that if they don't make that charge, it's not a big deal. So, for example, they're on an objective, they're screening, they're move blocking, they're in cover. It's not hard to do that with a 9th edition board, you know. I love it. So personally, I do really like the plasma. It's just in my specific list, I couldn't afford it.
Understandable.
And as a play which may not work, I generally like to commit as few points as possible to that. That being said, I can see the plasma absolutely rinsing. I mean, if you think about it logically, in a lot of ways, it's basically like the Tempestus Scion Melt-A-Bomb, where they just come in and do that. It's just you're doing it as world leaders this time, and you could actually feasibly charge in and do damage. But yeah, I'm totally with you with it. I basically have the same thing, but it's with combi bolters and chain axes instead. And I have the Lord in there too. I did have a big brain moment though when you said that, because I can't believe I didn't think of this already. So it's because you said a Terminator Lord, right? I was like, dude, you could put one of those in. Yeah, but you could put in the Terminator Lord and the Chosen, and you can make him a Red Butcher Lord.
Yeah.
And if he gets into the opponent in turn 1, man, that's like significant, you know? He can take something down.
The original play I had for this before the FAQ 3 months ago or whatever, preparing for the ability to turn. In fact, I worked it out for Terminators without turn 1 disembark, because I would put my Terminators in the Dreadclaw or the Charybdis, and they would come down and have protection for turn 1, and then they disembark turn 2, and it's basically a teleport that they can move. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because, wait a minute. No, they have to disembark. They can't move after disembarking. Sorry, I was almost like.
No. I see what you mean. Yeah. No. That would be broken. Yeah, that would be broken.
Yeah. But
yeah.
5, you could. I know we're both in agreement about veering away from Red Butchers in general, but again.
Yeah, maybe not so much. I mean, everything changes now,
The Lord becomes better because yes, Red Butchers on a Lord. You don't need
crazy
because you can put Violent Urgency on there. You could put Talisman on there because you don't need a weapon relic because you could go Lightning Claw and Power Fist, I think, or maybe Chain Fist.
Yep. I think you're going Chain Fist. I'd go Chain Fist and give him the Talisman, and so he's re-rolling. The Chosen are re-rolling. One of those will get in statistically, and there's a reasonably good chance that the goddamn Dreadclaw gets in there as well. Man, if a game that you get all 3 in, which isn't unlikely to happen, that is... Your opponent has to deal with that while you have whatever the hell is left in your army running up the board, and it is a lot. It is like 1,600 points of good stuff coming up the board behind, and they're trying to deal with this. They will deal with it. All of that stuff will die.
And if you fail every charge, you've still dealt some damage in the shooting phase, and they're focusing now. The Dreadclaw's only T6, but they're still putting their heavy weapons into it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's T6, 9 wounds, 3 up. It's not easy to kill.
No. And if they want to deal with any of those units in combat, that's 3 units which are good in combat with reroll 1s, which you're going to have the CP to interrupt with.
Yep.
This we're going to have to develop more. We need playtesting and everything else. But for every time we talk, we have one of these moments, right?
I think there's too many options. The thing is, because you can put anything in the Dreadclaw. Man, dude, you could even be like, I'm going to put a Contemptor in here, and it's probably going to be... Dude, a Contemptor with Twin Volkite coming down right in front of the enemy turn 1 is going to hose, you know? And it just goes in and kicks someone in the head.
It picks every target.
I'm so... Like, this is just you and me talking as well. I'm so excited for... like what some people come out with, you know, it's crazy. I need to try this Red Butcher Lord now with a Chain Fist and Talisman. I think I'm just seeing it now in my head. I think that's going to be really good.
I think there's something there. I will caveat, I've been running dual Lightning Claws on my Red Butcher Lord in my games, and dual Lightning is not the way to go. One Lightning Claw is good, but you need an anti-tank. For sure. Like, that was me thinking, I can get 2 extra attacks with the extra Lightning Claw for free. No, spend the points on a Power Fist or a Chain Fist. You need... I know, like, running 2 different weapons is often seen as ridiculous because they don't benefit, but on a Lord who, with Red Butchers, will be good against anything with the right weapon, you want the versatility of Lightning Claw for infantry and a fist or Chain Fist.
For whatever he comes up against, you know, because, like, I fully agree.
He's a torpedo to go and take care of something, so...
Man, it's a crazy time, though. I have too many ideas, and it's really annoying me.
I want to wrap this up, because I actually have to go and TO a game in a minute. But there is one more final point, and this is on the Charybdis, which I know we need to do another video on that.
Yep.
With the emerging AdMech meta, which we've already recorded a video on, which will be dropping after this, or in a couple of days, the Charybdis has serious firepower. It's got the frag or the crack storm launchers, and it has, like, I think 5 of them or 6 of them, and it's heavy 2 for the crack and 2d6 for the frag. So I think it's 10d6 frags or 8d6.
Yeah, I can get that for you right here.
Okay, yeah, all right. So I think with the AdMech meta, because AdMech are one of those weird armies that do a lot of one thing and a lot of another. They have a lot of high toughness and a lot of low toughness. Other armies, even us, we're kind of T4 to T7. AdMech are certainly T3, and we'll certainly be considering T8s. So the Charybdis, with its ridiculous firepower, the ability Okay.
So the firepower, it's got 5 storm launchers.
Yep.
And each storm launcher is basically a double missile launcher.
Yeah.
So heavy 2 or heavy 2d6. So
Yeah.
10d6 if you want.
rounds.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah. So against your T3 horde, if they're bringing 20 Skitari-eyed guys,
Yep.
10d6, and you can split those in groups of 2 as well. You can put 6d6
blast.
in there and 4 crack missiles into the chickens or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the mortal wounds when it moves. Plus you can disembark Khorne for full rerolls because it does hit on 4s. So I just want we need to dive into the Charybdis.
There's so many plays you could do with that. Yeah, so many different plays. It's crazy. But yeah, look, fantastic time to be playing 40k.
Yeah. It's we've had a big week. There's a lot more to come. We know we've got our Grey Knights, Thousand Suns coming up on the horizon.
Sisters
everyone,
this weekend, I think.
Sisters, yeah, and then Orcs, T5 Orcs. Everyone talking about T5 Orcs. Berserkers are still strength 6. We're still wounding them on 3s. Sure, the chain sword is now only wounding them on 4s.
There's no orcs left alive to wound on 4s by the time the chain axes are done.
Don't worry. The
T5
Orcs hurts everyone else pretty much except us.
Yep.
I'm
Quite literally.
Yeah. Dude, fighting against Orcs is still the best game we're gonna have. It's gonna be the
Fact,
funnest
yeah.
damn game
I always love those games so much. Yeah, it's so good.
All right.
But yeah, cool.
We're gonna wrap this one up here. We've recorded about 5 videos this week. It feels like so.
Yeah, man. it's been a busy
been
week.
A crazy week. So
yeah.
But yeah, we'll cut this one off here. So everyone at home, take care, stay healthy. If I could do that right, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill me.